Now, you must have seen the programme, The Thick of It, where everything seems to go wrong. With all the best intentions, various ministers turn up to ribbon cut and to self-aggrandise about some fantastic bit of government policy. And it always somehow goes wrong because, hey, that's politics. Well, it was a bit farcical when Sir Keir Starmer turned up today in Buckinghamshire to announce the creation of all of these wonderful new homes that Labour guaranteed to build around the country. And there he was, grandstanding next to a building site. But, well, shall we have a little watch and a listen about what went on? Now, that isn't Darude Sandstorm being performed by a load of people on some sort of re-engineered bagpipes or something. That is the ingenious horns on various tractors, because there was a farmers' protest going on in the vicinity. And when they found out that Keir Starmer was about to open a new building site or whatnot, cut a piece of clod, plant a tree, wear a high-vis jacket and look like a moron, they thought, how about we go and give him a visit? And so they played that sort of psychedelic 60s soundtrack in the background. I loved it. But did he take time to listen to their concerns? Well, shall we have a little look?
I don't know. Absolute shambles.
If you're in there, just talk to us.
Talk to us.
There we go. That is the horns, the farmers' horns, all going off there. And Sir Keir Starmer, where is he? I'm looking at the video. If you're listening on radio, you can't see it. There's a few farmers there who want to have a word with our Prime Minister about the way that they've been really cut adrift. And I can't think of a polite term to say what the government's done to farmers. But no, the Prime Minister decided to be bundled into the back of the car and driven back to Downing Street, still wearing his high-vis jacket. And to make things even more farcical, to show how moronic the man is, he was seen getting out the car in Downing Street at the other end of the motorway, still wearing that high-vis jacket. I mean, you'd think at some point someone might be like, mate, why don't you take the jacket off now? You look a bit weird still wearing that. You're no longer at the building site, our son. Nope, he was still wearing it. What an absolute tool. I'm with the farmers all the way on this. I was supposed to be giving a big talk at the latest farmers' protest. Alas, I couldn't because I was ill. I support them 100% and all of their deeds. So let's catch up with one of them, shall we? A member of Farmers to Action, Philip Weston. Hi, Philip.
Hi, Alex. How are we doing?
Yeah, I'm very well. I'm very well. Now, were you there at this particular protest?
I was, yeah. And can I just say, I was absolutely hilarious about him getting out the other end in his high-vis coat again. Yeah, made my evening. Thank you.
What was he wearing a high-vis jacket for anyway? It seemed to be standing in a car park or something. I mean, it's just mad. They love doing this. They put on their sort of like Mr. Ben dress-up box cosplaying as a working man toolmaker's son. It's like, you're not pulling the wool over my eyes. But so you turned up and you thought, here, Keir Starmer's down the road. Let's go speak to him directly. A PR coup would have been if he had taken the time, approached you guys and said, right, I'm going to do the thing. I'm the Prime Minister. I'm going to have a conversation. I'm sure at that point the Darude Sandstorm, horn would have stopped playing and you'd have had a conversation and explained really how this was affecting you. But that isn't what happened.
Well, we don't want to be doing it at the end of the day, Alex. You know, it's taken a lot of my time up today. But he isn't talking to us. You know, he's not coming to us to talk. We've got to go to him to talk, unfortunately. And, you know, you're just showing on screen there, us in London. That event there in particular was Save British Farming. Dealt with Liz Webster and Ollie Fletcher and various other ones. But, you know, there are a multitude of other different groups there. Farmers to Action were a very big part of that. Other groups there also. So, you know, it was a good event to go to. You know, it was a good attendance. It was a good visual. But, you know, most farmers left that event feeling very despondent. You know, on the presentations that we were given at the event, we weren't really told where we were meant to be going from this. Very uninspired, to be quite honest. And, you know, we listened to 2.5 hours of people debating. A lot of very positive, factual comments made by other MPs in our favour. And then you get the one Labour man stand up for 4 minutes and basically repeat everything that we've already heard, somehow thinking that repeating and repeating and repeating is somehow going to make it right. You know, the facts are still wrong, and he is still lying. You
But
know,
they do like. I mean, what they changed their tune yet on when it comes to inheritance tax? They said, well, you know, only a small scattering of farms are going to be affected, barely any, nothing to see here. Oh, it's only going to make the Treasury like 500 million, which I'm like, well, that's basically naff all, frankly. That's coins down the back of the sofa when it comes to the budget of the Exchequer. You could just not bother doing it in the first place. And yet, all the reports that we've heard from, first of all, the NFU and NUF, and then what we've heard as well, no, NFU. I don't know, whatever acronym it is. I'm still fluey. And then what we heard from DEFRA was actually this could affect a load of farms. This could affect, I keep hearing different amounts. What are you hearing? How pernicious is this policy going to be? Are you affected by this?
Oh, it's absolutely colossal, Alex. I mean, look, on the family farm, we've been here since 1820. We're my fifth generation. You know, I've got two kids of my own, which obviously are for it to pass over to them. And, you know, how can we say this? You know, my father died in October 21, you know, and, you know, he was advised, we were advised by solicitors and accountants to use what was available to us. You know, we went down that route. It was meant to protect us and protect my mother, who's still alive. But, you know, we've now got those figures from, you know, the accountants that we've been to. We know that a 300-acre farm, which according to your Reeves, your Reeds, Mr. Starmer, is the size farm that is going to be completely unaffected by this. You know, we are looking at hundreds of thousands of pounds. And that is our working capital. That is our opportunity to reinvest in machinery. Yeah. And obviously live. You know, we've somehow got to live amongst all of it.
What I don't understand is this government seems to think, well, if you've got all this farmland, 300 acres worth all that money, you're rolling in it, you're practically a millionaire. But the point is you're being punished, penalised simply for handing your farm down to your kids to farm. It's not like there are people all over the country ready to don a pair of wellies, drive a tractor and start, you know, toiling in the fields. It very often is very much kept within the family because that is how it's passed down generationally. The skills, the love, the knowledge, maintaining as well the wonderful British pastoral traditions of farming, not this sort of intensive rearing we're seeing in America and in Central Europe. We then know that as well this Labour Party want more fields to be rewilded, other ones to be turned over for solar farms. I mean, unless you can eat a solar panel in a sandwich, I can't see what that's going to do for the nation's diet. Load of nonsense. And I did a bit of research into this and I found out that before the outbreak of the Second World War, we were producing about 60% of what we ate in the UK ourselves. The other 40% largely was being imported. We're about that level now, and actually the attack on farming that we're seeing coming from this government, without doubt, that is going to drop. Now, what then happened in the outbreak of war is all the lines of supply lines got disrupted, and we were plunged into a disaster where one of the main mottos of the Second World War back at home was dig for victory, farm your land. You know, get on and grow your own vegetables. And then, of course, we had rationing, which lasted all the way into the 1950s because we didn't have enough food. And you have to ask yourself, what sort of sane government gives over its ability to feed its own country?
Yeah, absolutely unreal, isn't it? And I mean, you've hit two big things there, the level of imports and, you know, it isn't just the IHT that is going to be killing us here. You know, there's far more higher-reaching things. You know, we've got carbon tax here, fertiliser, and, you know, that's something we're going to deal with next year. You know, and European countries aren't getting that. We're getting pesticides banned here, which European farms are still using. The added problem we've got here is their produce, 60% of it is being imported into this country. They are using all these things that we have no longer got available to us. We are not on a level playing field here. You know, we are getting slaughtered by the imports here at the moment. You know, we hear a lot of talk about fair pay from supermarkets. If they're importing that much food, they have an abundance of it. They can offer it at a price. You know, a simple solution to a lot of this would be to do what a lot of other countries have done, and that is put a cap on the exports. You know, they realise there is an importance to food in their countries. We haven't got that, unfortunately. You know, our MP does not realise this. You know, if we put a cap and it got turned around that we were back to doing 60% of our own, and only 20%, we would have more options on the table to discuss with supermarkets and get a fairer price, right? In my personal opinion. But, you know,
right.
meant to be raising 500 odd million from all this inheritance tax. It's nothing. It's a drop in.
It's naffle. It's naffle. And I always think, if you want to know what your enemies are planning to do to you, look what they're doing themselves. And China, for instance, who once upon a time relied on food imports, has decided it wants to be totally self-sufficient. Now, when it comes to food, they're actually encouraging people actively to go into farming, to expand farmland, to make sure they're producing a lot more. And you think, well, if they're doing that, why on earth are we saying to China, let's buy a load of solar panels from you, stick it on our farmland instead? How many farmers do you know now quitting? You must know a lot of people going, I just can't do this anymore, or selling land because they got to pay the inheritance tax.
Yeah, can I just go back on that one?
Yeah.
And this is also to address Mr. Starmer's response after getting back to 10 Downing Street in his high vis. He then went on to attack us again. Or, shall I say, he's went to put us off against the NHS. He's saying, pick one. We either pick the NHS and better pay and help for them, or pick a farmer. And he says we pick the NHS. Well, look, unfortunately, yeah, we are not funding the NHS by our inheritance tax. 500 million, so going back to that figure. We are giving more away to foreign farms at the moment. Brazil, China, 550 million, I think the figure was. How can our inheritance tax be helping fund public service when they are giving more away to foreign farms, but also giving that money to foreign farms to compete against us, which are going to be driving imports up and our costs down even further?
It makes no sense. It's cruel, it's heartless, but it's callous, but it's absolutely nonsensical. I mean, any country, we sit there, we think, oh, great, it's been peace for a long time. Oh, we're actually still in the G7. Everything's fine and dandy over here in Britain. But you know what? The minute you start losing your farming, you actually face the very real prospect of famine. It's that simple. Things can go very wrong with supply chains. We're an island. It makes absolutely no sense. Look, Philip, I'm massively on your side. Keep doing those protests. The public are overwhelmingly backing you. They really are overwhelmingly backing you. My producer Ryan just said something hilarious in my ear. This is worth repeating. He said, what sort of numbskull does a getaway wearing a high-vis jacket? It beggars belief. The man is a moron. Philip, thank you ever so much.